I would love us to get education really right. I think a lot of the things that we hear and see about in our world now is it's all about education. And I think if we can get that right from the youngest kids starting up, you know, by the time you get to secondary schools or whatever, you've lost a lot of children by then. But I think if you can really get them at that early stage, get them ready, equipped with the skills that they need.
A croeso to GreenWales, the channel celebrating the people, businesses and projects building a greener, fairer Wales. Every week we speak to organisations creating the real solutions aligned with the Future Generations Act and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, helping Wales lead the way in sustainability and innovation. Let's meet today's guest. How are you? How are things? Can you please introduce yourself, introduce the company and maybe an overview of what you do?
Sure thing. Hello, I'm Sian. I'm Head of Creative Learning at the Arts Council of Wales. So we are the funding and development agency for all the arts in Wales, funding all sorts of organisations and individuals. But I particularly work within the education arm of the Arts Council, which is really about looking at the arts and creativity in its wider sense and how it can improve education and provide our children and young people with the skills that they need for their futures.
And I'm sure the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act acts as a main guiding spine to the work that you do every day.
It underpins everything that we do. Absolutely. It's central, front and centre.
I love that. So every time we interview somebody, we give somebody the same set of questions to sort of get an overview of Wales, how people are taking it on, because different sectors, different types of industries all sort of tackle the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act in their own sort of way.
Yeah.
And I think that's really nice about the 7 long-term aims. There'd be someone will go for the healthier Wales more than anything else, someone will go for collaborative, involvement, long-term, preventative, and then we've got the 5 ways of working. So what's brilliant is the variety of approaches,
Yes.
Because I think that's what it needs in order for it to be successful across Wales.
Absolutely.
So it'd be very interesting to see your responses to the questions.
Fine.
Shall we have a little go?
Let's have a little
Come
go.
on then.
Come
So
on then.
when you think about the future, what's one thing you really hope Wales gets right? It's a big question, isn't it?
It is a really big question.
None of these are small.
And my mind takes me though to my line of work.
Yeah.
And how we have a really important role to play now in getting our youngsters ready for, you know, the kind of Wales that we're trying to create. And so I would love us to get education really right. I think a lot of the things that we hear and see about in our world now is it's all about education. And I think if we can get that right from the youngest kids starting up, you know, by the time you get to secondary schools or whatever, you've lost a lot of children by then. But I think if you can really get them at that early stage, get them ready, equipped with the skills that they need, how to be creative, how to be collaborative, how to solve problems, embed and instill all of those skills. I would love to see that. And the other thing I'd love to see Wales doing, obviously culture is a massive part of who we are. It's who makes us who we are. It's in our DNA. Let's celebrate our culture. Let's be proud of it. Let's not see it as something that's an add-on. Let's get it absolutely ingrained front and centre, and let's be proud as a nation that we are Welsh, that we have our own language, we've got our own identity, our own culture. That's what I would really love to see, and that it becomes a norm.
I love that.
Not an add-on.
I think I find that the Welsh culture and Welsh people are looking for that at the moment as well. They want that identity more now than ever.
It really now, and especially in light of what's happened recently with, you know, the Senate elections and everything. I'm really, really feeling that change and that shift, and that people really, really want it. I think it's amazing.
Do you think there's a bit of confidence coming through us as people?
I do actually. And I love the fact that the Senedd met, you know, recently and had their first cabinet meeting, and they had it through the medium of the Welsh language. Amazing. Absolutely fantastic. And I think that's just great. It's really representative, I think, of the Wales that we're trying to be.
Yeah, and I think it's just really exciting. And you touched upon education in schools, except my daughter's 8 and she's in a primary school. They've been embedding the new sort of curriculum. They had some issues, but now they've got a full-time forest school teacher.
Oh, have they?
Yes, up in Park Primary in Cwm Park. And her education compared to my education is completely different.
Yes.
So I would definitely have confidence in saying that at least up until comprehensive school or secondary school age, it's in a good place at the moment and is moving to a good place. I just hope the good work can carry on then. 'Cause I think comprehensive is secondary school is a completely different battle altogether because the pulls they've got and what they have to cover.
It's the accountability piece, I think, when you come to secondary schools, and they're just driven completely by the exams.
Yes.
They've got to get their learners to a certain point, but that's where our work actually falls down a little bit, because a lot of the work that we do is really, it's all about the curriculum. It's all about integrating that and supporting teachers to be able to realise the ambition of that new curriculum. I think it's really suited to a primary setting and how primary education is delivered. But when you get to secondary, you've got the time pressures, you've got accountability, you've got inspections, you've got exams. It's really difficult to get teachers to actually step out of their norm and try something different and try and be more creative, use the art as an intervention to maybe improve your group of boys in maths. But it's having the confidence to do that and being okay to do that, and maybe working with an artist to collaborate on something like that, because ultimately they're going to be tested, I guess, and judged on how those learners do in those exams. So it is really difficult, I think, to implement this kind of way of working into secondary schools. But that's why I'm still doing the job that I'm doing, because I absolutely believe in the power of the arts and the difference that they can actually make. Yes, to health and well-being, to everything, but fundamentally, I'm passionate about education, and it's how the arts can really make a big impact in education.
And I will say, I wasn't a traditional student at all when I went to school. I really struggled with sitting down at a desk, etc. And I went to art college to do 3D because I wanted to be, my father was a carpenter, and I was like, I don't really want to fit kitchens. I want to build like Beauty and the Beast fireplaces, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something creative instead, So I did I went to Glentarf Art College is what it was called. That's what I studied. That completely made who I am. And then I did a theatre degree in Carmarthen. So I had
to Carmarthen.
There we go. I love that. But I had no exams. Nothing was really written. It was all about practical work. So there are avenues out there for people. And I think in a traditional setting, especially in comprehensive, it does exclude people. So it's really important that these different options, which feel more under threat now than ever because of budgets, because of lack of teachers. These are the nice to haves. But actually, it should be the other way around. It should be actually, this is the thing we really should be protecting. And if not, embedding throughout every class.
Absolutely.
What's a project idea or change you've seen recently that made you think we need more of this?
Well, as one example, I'm going to give a piece of my own programme and what we're doing, because we are funded by Welsh Government, jointly funded by Welsh Government and the Arts Council, to deliver what we call a creative learning programme. And that is all about bridging the gap, or bridging the education sector and the arts sector coming together. So we provide grants to schools for them to apply, and what they do is they get matched with a creative learning partner, is what we call them. And they work on an inquiry question. And that inquiry question can be a really big real world question. So, it could be, how can you use creative approaches to develop someone's thinking about climate justice or the environment, or something like that.
That's a challenge.
But we're asking our kids to think about these sorts of questions at the moment. And so by bringing in that artist perspective, by getting the teacher and the artist to work together, because this isn't about artists going into schools while the teachers just get on with catching up with their marking or something like that. That co-delivery is really important, because that's when the dynamics change in the classroom environment. That's when the children see their teachers in a different light. And what we've seen is that actually working in this way, so being a little bit more disruptive, not thinking about your traditional kind of classroom layouts, really thinking about the environment and the conditions that you create to allow creative learning to happen. We're seeing young people who have perhaps never spoken before, or have never really engaged in any activity, really finding themselves and finding their place in this world, because they're being allowed to do things slightly differently. So I'm incredibly proud of that. I think it's a really good change. I think it's a great direction that we're heading in, and I would love to see more of that. It goes back to my earlier point really about the arts, the new curriculum. You know, the expressive arts now have an equally weighting in terms of importance in the same way as literacy, numeracy, all those other subjects. So it's not something that you do if you've got time on Friday afternoon. We've got a bit of time to do some music, kids, let's do it. No, it's there as an equal weighted. It's embedded and it's seen as a really important part of learning. So that is what I'm extremely proud of.
Do you know what's really nice to hear as well? You said something about a teacher not being a part of it.
Yeah.
So that back in the day, you'd get someone to come in, they deliver, the teacher goes away, comes back, once that class is finished, or that term is finished, they go away and everything carries on.
And everything carries on.
Where actually, if you bring the teacher in and they're part of the collaborative approach, you at the end of it, that person does go away, but hopefully they'll embed a few elements of what they've done into other things, and it continues the path.
That's the hope. And let's not forget the voice of the learner in all of this either, because that is central as well.
Yeah.
So when they come up with this inquiry question, it has to be linked to their school development plan, and it's usually linked to a topic or a theme that they're doing that term.
Yeah.
But we insist that the children involved in the inquiry are part of developing that question so that their voice comes through.
Do you want me asking how many of these are going out? Like how much have you actually been able to deliver?
So this programme has been going for 10 years.
Wow, love it.
And yes, we had our 10th birthday last year.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy 11th birthday.
Happy 11th birthday. And we've just had some additional funding for us to continue till 2028. So, however, there's around 1,400 schools in Wales. That number does change often because of schools merging and some schools closing, etc.
Yeah.
But around 1,400, and we have engaged with 93% of the schools in Wales.
Well done, because that's a feat as well. Like
we're like incredibly proud of that, and we're actually using the next 3 years to reach those schools that haven't engaged with us yet, for whatever reason that may be. And there's a multiple of, of course. But we're really kind of trying to get in with those schools that haven't engaged before, and using the thousands of schools that have engaged with us to really help get that message out and advocate our work.
And they probably need it more than anybody else, the ones you haven't reached, because they might not have an active drama department or a spokesperson within the organisation.
But that's the other thing as well, because I think that's another barrier that we're finding ourselves kind of trying to fight all of the time, is that we're looking at creativity here in its wider sense. So it actually isn't just about the arts. It's using the arts as the intervention, but it's using the arts in maths, it's using the arts in science. So we've got on our programme what we call a creative learning mindset, and it's got 5 dispositions within that, which is imagination, courage, persistence, collaboration, and curiosity.
I love that.
So that is how we define being creative.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's when we bring our artists in then to develop those dispositions as a mindset. Because you think about collaboration, work with someone, stick with a difficulty, solve a problem, keep going, try again, but using the arts as the intervention to look at that.
Yeah.
So it's about looking at your learning and education through a very different lens. And so I think maybe when we talk about the schools that haven't engaged with us yet, there might be still a little bit of a lack of an understanding in terms of what we mean by creative learning. And it might be that they say, well, we haven't got a music teacher or a drama department. We don't want those. We don't necessarily want those teachers coming on our training.
Yes.
We want the maths teachers, the science teachers, the history teachers, so that they can experience working with an artist, and that they then think about a different way how they might go and design their next history lesson.
Because that's what we want, is that we've got the artisans who are already delivering and they've already got that training to a certain extent. You want the ones who haven't had that approach.
And, we get teachers coming into our training. I don't know why I'm here. I'm not creative. I can't draw. I can't sing. I can't dance. And by the time they've done our first exercise, they realise
it's not about that.
Maybe I do belong here, actually, because this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Fantastic.
So it's about looking at things differently.
That's amazing. And, we've half answered this, but I think there's something else we can pull out here. So where do you think we're still solving problems too late instead of preventing them earlier?
Yeah, I think, for me, I do think it's that early years, I think.
Okay.
And because I think as a sector, they are really struggling, and it's really difficult. It's not... it's a very bureaucratic system in the early years, very, very difficult. And we've worked with the early years sector as part of our work, and we can see how hard it is. So I would love there to be some more funding available to put into early years education, develop that early years curriculum, and that those early years practitioners get a lot more support, a lot more training, because it's really, really hard on them. So for me, it would be some more funding to really kind of push that sector within the education.
That's great to get your perspective on that, because all I see is the great forest school side of things I just talked about, but actually there's far more to it than just that, isn't there?
It's really, really hard.
The whole approach, I guess.
It is the whole approach, absolutely.
And I guess it depends, because again, primary schools are under so much pressure because they are shrinking, you know?
Budgets are shrinking all the time, local authorities, their budgets are being slashed. It's really, really hard on schools at the moment. And that's why I'm really proud that the Arts Council decided, to fund this programme, because we are in a position that we are able to help those schools. We are able to give them a little bit of funding to just maybe help them look at things slightly differently.
I love that so much. And this is why I love doing these interviews, because you just find out so much more. You get to dig and be like, oh, okay, so there's this element as well. And this is why the channel exists, because it gives, we've got a forest school interview on the grassroots part, and then we've got Derek Walker, the leader of the Future Generations Act, got Jane Davidson. So whatever type of person you might be and whatever interest you have, there's a place for you to find what you want to find.
Absolutely.
And getting those answers, because it's really hard to have those conversations, or to find those conversations that have happened. And that's what GreenWales is all about, is our one-stop shop. Whether you want to do the high level, the grassroots, my whole part is connecting everybody together. So someone goes, oh, I do this. Can I do it any better? And it might not be better, it's just differently. It's collaboration, partnership. Get rid of the partnership, get the collaboration.
Get it in. It's key. Absolutely. We couldn't do this without collaborating with numerous people on our work. And so that is absolutely key. And it's one of our dispositions.
I know, I love that. Thank you so much. And I always say to people, don't partner, collaborate. Because if you can share resources, or you bring the teacher, you provide the venue, I provide the funding.
The funding, exactly.
And it just brings out much better. Instead of you being like, I'm going to do everything for you, and then you fall down on a few pillars. By collaborating.
Bring other people in who's got those skills, who's got that, those connections. Bring them in and let's work together on something.
And I think that's what makes Wales, it gives Wales a strength. I think we've realised we are a nation of collaborators. When you look at the size of our country, SME is 98%, micro economy is 80%, and a zero employer is 70% of the Welsh economy. We're a nation of collaborators.
We are.
So let's make sure we do that in everything that we do.
In everything that we do.
Celebrate
it.
Right, okay. Love it. So you sort of touched on this, and I'm just going to give you an option if you wanted to put anything else into it. So what does sustainability actually look like in practice where you work? So
I think as an Arts Council, we're kind of, we're quite well ahead on this journey as an organisation in terms of what we do. It's one of our 6 principles. So everything that we do, we have 6 principles, and sustainability is one of those. In the same as creativity, as Welsh language, widening engagement, transformation, and nurturing talent. So those are the 6 principles. And so any organisation that we work with or that we fund is expected to be able to deliver on those 6 principles.
Right.
So sustainability is really central and has come to the forefront a lot more than perhaps it's been previously. So we're really asking our organisations to look at the way they're working, think about how sustainable they're being, how can they be sharing resources, how can they be collaborating maybe, with others to improve their work, to enhance their work. And then on the kind of actual sort of grant side of things and the paperwork side of things, we're trying to be a lot more green in the way that we do that. We're really thinking about access as well, and how we can provide better access to people. Not everyone can fill in an application form online, or they perhaps really struggle with that. So we've now got a dedicated access support officer that can really help applicants who might be struggling with doing that. And then recently, because we're quite a different organisation, the Arts Council recently, with a big restructure, a new chief exec, new chairperson, a new senior leadership team. And so we've created what we're calling these roles of creative enablers. And so they're kind of dotted across all of the organisation to really support different bits of the business. And so I think that's really great as well, that is now kind of central to the work that we do.
I love that. And I worked in theatre for 15 years, and I've seen a lot of the Arts Council, and I've seen them completely change in the last 4 or 5 years. It's been a journey.
It's a journey, and we're still
everybody's
not there.
on it.
you know, and we're quite open and honest about that, but we're definitely heading in the right direction.
100%. And we were saying just for the interview about how you award funding now is not just traditional arts anymore.
No.
And the project that we've just talked about with yourselves is a really good example of how it's not so much about maybe not putting on a show so much, but it's how about you embed the arts, the culture of Wales into every part of what we do, which then is a huge part of delivering the Wellbeing Future Generations Act.
Yes.
And that gets me really excited.
And me as well. And I think it's our duty as an arts council to be producing and funding work that represents Wales.
Yeah, and we've one ahead as a country, isn't it? Because we've got a small resource, small population.
Yeah.
We've got to spend it wisely.
Yeah.
Biggest impact. Yeah. To have the biggest effect on Wales.
Yeah, precisely.
Oh, 100%
agree.
Right, one question left. And then I got a bonus one, which I don't tell you about because it's a nice question, so don't panic. But right, so if Wales made one bold, long-term decision tomorrow, what would you want it to be? You can't just say unlimited pancakes for everybody, okay?
No. Can I say that I would love every single school to have an access to a library, number one.
I love that.
Right?
Keep going.
Because I think reading is really important. I think literacy is
having a space, isn't it?
I think children need to relearn the love of reading and picking up a book. That's number one. And number two, I'd absolutely love it to be, compulsory, that every single school has an artist in residence that can support them. I love that. That is what I would want.
Yeah, no, I love that.
So that the art is there. It's there. It's the norm. It's part of how teachers teach. It's part of how kids learn.
Yeah.
That is what I would love. That every school in Wales that had one artist in residence that they could draw upon at various points throughout the year to help them deliver a certain part of their curriculum.
I love that. And you know what I've noticed in the last couple of years, and probably because I've had kids as well, is how important the arts is just generally for your mental health. Just being able to not be on the tablet.
Something live and sit back and relax and, you know.
I think just even sitting down and appreciating, looking at Snowdonia, a painting, just the outside, the natural world.
Absolutely.
Just being able to go, oh, I'll look at a tree on my phone instead, you know. Go to the forest, go and connect with it.
Put the
phones down.
Forget the electronics.
TV.
And just go and, you know, really appreciate.
Yeah, because I think it all comes
you've got
to it
around
then.
you.
And then you can see you start doing watercolours. You know, there's so many, you might become a performer, you know. It might be working at festivals.
Yes.
There's so many avenues for the arts.
Yeah.
So the last question
is,
if I could go anywhere else to go and see anyone else in Wales, has to be just Wales, who would you recommend I go and see? And why?
An organisation, okay.
Can be a charity, can be an organisation, can be a project, can be a business. It can be anything.
Have you ever been to see Blackwood Miners Institute?
I haven't. I've worked there.
Have you?
Yeah. When I was a theatre technician, I worked at Newbridge Memo, so Robin, Bainbridge, I used to work with them quite a bit. But so I haven't been there as part of GreenWales. I know they're going through a transformative time at the moment.
Which is why I think it would be quite good just to, you know, to have a conversation with them about how they're
changing,
how they're rethinking, how they're reshaping, they're resetting basically.
Yeah.
And I think it could potentially be an exciting time for Blackwood. I'm also a local girl, so I'm kind of gonna push something that's on my doorstep.
100%. That's great.
You know, so
I love that.
That would be my recommendation.
All left me to do is say thank you very, very much for sparing some time with me this morning.
Welcome.
And I hope you've enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks very much.
Just give them a little wave. Is it okay? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.